Have you ever seen gorgeous farmhouse or craftsman style window trim on HGTV or Instagram and wish that you could add it to your own house? Maybe you thought it was out of your skill level or you just didn't want to hire a contractor. Today I'm going to show you step by step how to add window trim. It elevates the feel, the aesthetic, and the home value. I have two awesome hacks that are going to make this a really approachable beginner DIY. I promise you're never going to look at an unfinished window the same way, and we're starting now. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica Monroe. I'm a realtor in the Bay Area, and I'm a huge DIY enthusiast, especially for your average everyday homeowner or future homeowner. I'm a firm believer that DIY can result in ROI, increase your return on investment. We're just going to jump right in. Here are the materials and tools necessary to complete this project. This is such a great beginner DIY because all the cuts are straight. If you don't have a saw, you can actually take all your measurements to your local hardware store and they'll be able to cut it for you. Just remember that no wall or framing around your window is going to be perfectly level or straight. This means that the right side of the window will likely be a little bit shorter or longer than the left side of the window. The bottom's not necessarily going to be the same length as the top. Especially if you're going to a hardware store to have your wood cut, make sure you measure all sides and make great notes so that you know exactly what piece goes where. Step one is going to be to remove any existing trim. This window just has a bottom trim piece, so it's really straightforward. I'm taking a utility knife and I'm scoring and cutting through all the caulking. Make sure you do the top, the bottom, and the sides. A putty knife is a great tool to help you gently ease that trim off of the wall. Slow and steady is key here. You don't want to go too quickly or you're more likely to pull off drywall or paint.
Once you have the trim piece removed, it's not uncommon to have some nails left behind. That's no problem. Take the back end of a hammer and try to pull the nails out. If they're really stuck in there, it's okay to hammer them in so they're flush against the wall.
Before you measure or cut any of your trim, make sure to check the edges to ensure that they're actually straight. You can never assume that the wood purchased from a hardware store is going to be a perfect right angle. So take a straight edge, double check that there isn't any flesh of the wood poking through, that it's perfectly aligned with the straight edge. If not, no problem. Draw yourself a new line, make a cut, and that'll be the starting point for measuring. But the entrance or framing to your window is likely not going to be perfectly level or straight. So let me show you exactly what I mean. I'm taking this straight board, this edge, and if I butt it up to the window frame, and let's say I go off of the level and I make it perfect, so that's actually level. You see the edge of the wall pokes through, and that's not what we want. Once I figured out that it's visually level and pretty level with our actual construction level, remember we want to make sure that there's no edge of the wall poking through. I'm also going to mark just below the top end of the frame, and again it's because that top edge is not going to be level as well, so I'm probably going to have a little lip or a little overhang for the top piece, and if the sides are too long, then the top piece is going to sit above the edge and we're just going to see the flesh of the wall. I'm not going to go into great detail about this because there are professionals all over YouTube that can explain this far better than me. But anytime you're making measurements and cutting your own wood, you need to consider something called the kerf. It's essentially the width of the blade, or how much of the wood is going to get pulverized when you make that cut. My blade has nearly 1/8 of an inch of a kerf, which means anytime I make a line for measurement, I'm placing the blade on the far end of the cut so that when I actually slice through the wood, my measurement is accurate. This is an exaggeration, but you can see how much of the wood was actually pulverized and turned into sawdust.
Once I have the side and bottom pieces cut, I double check with the level as well as visually to make sure everything looks accurate and nail the side pieces into place. Holding the level on top of the piece of wood helps me to determine whether it's short enough and whether I'm going to have a little lip or overhang for the top piece.
The first hack is to assemble the headdress ahead of time. It's so much easier than doing individual boards, climbing up on a ladder each time. So I actually stack the pieces of wood to create the headboard. I just nail them in place. I also caulk while it's down on the table to make it a lot easier once I'm up there. Go ahead and paint the edges too. Keep in mind that main front piece is going to have nail holes punched into it. You're going to have to use wood filler, so no point in painting it just yet. So here's how we utilize the current windowsill and just extend the edges. So as mentioned, we're going to utilize what's already in place just to avoid the complexity of having specific saws. Just makes it a lot more approachable for your beginner DIY. So typically builders will use a very standard type of windowsill trim. I found the exact same one at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's just, if you turn it to the side, it's just got a little bit of detail. What I'm gonna do is measure the depth, how far it comes out from the wall, because I wanna match this and make this a seamless line. We're just gonna extend it out to match the very top. I would always rather have a slightly shorter piece than too long. If it's too long, it's gonna jet out and you're gonna see a big discrepancy between the depth here. As flush as possible against the existing sill. And then any overhang, just slightly, we can sand down before we caulk it. And then don't worry about a gap back here. It's bound to happen. Again, caulk will take care of that. Once it's cured, we'll caulk this top piece here and then this seam here, and then sand down anything that sticks out, and it'll be one seamless line. After you're done assembling the trim, make sure to fill all those nail holes with wood filler. You really don't need much. You want to push the product into the hole and then just cover it with a thin layer so that sanding will be pretty quick. Once you're completely done sanding, take a dry rag and just make sure to remove all the debris. When you're a beginner DIY, caulking is going to be your best friend. It's going to help eliminate from the naked eye any imperfections. It's going to make two pieces of board flow seamlessly together, making it look built in. I'm not going to show you much painting. I'm painting primed white wood with white paint, so it's not going to be very dramatic. I would just recommend starting from the top to the bottom so you don't get paint on your clothing. I also recommend painting the interior walls of the trim. That's going to make the window look so much more expensive and the trim like a built-in piece. Can you believe the transformation? This beautiful window is now a focal point. It sets the tone, it elevates the feel, it gives the perception of a higher value. If you'd like a free download for the shopping list as well as tools necessary, email me at monroe.erica@gmail.com. If you do this project, please post pictures. I'd love to see the progress. And if you want some additional ideas that'll help boost your home value, check out this video. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next Thursday.